Honestly, guys, I'm not even gonna pretend that today is a happy sunshine day for me because it's not. It's been a rough week for me, or at least the last couple days, and reevaluating some things in my life. But like, there's just too much going on. There's just too much going on, and I'm not even gonna pretend to smile at the camera. But there is good things to talk about today. There is some good things to talk about today. And we also went to our friend's house yesterday, and their mom, well, it's like for Mark, it's like his second mom. Like they're really close. Like she was always there for him, like truly, and like truly loved him, like through his whole childhood, like through his whole life. So we went over their house yesterday, and I got some neat information we might end up discussing a little bit later. It's not like it doesn't have to be like facts. I never did research or anything behind it, but it's interesting things to think about and open your mind, I guess. But we will discuss those things a little bit later. But we'll also talk about loneliness a little bit later. I'm not lonely, but I want to talk about how I avoided loneliness, or how I deal when I do feel lonely, and the things I do, and how most of us, majority of people, do feel lonely nowadays, and it's really sad to me. And we'll discuss those things a little bit later. I know this video already started like on a sad note. It's not how I intended it to be, but that's how the day seems to be. But it's, at least it's sunny outside, but it's so windy. It's like I don't even want to go outside, that it's because it's so windy here. But it's like finally a sunshine day, because it's been like super gloomy all week, and I'm waiting for like 65, 70 degrees hopefully at the end of this week. I'm like hoping. I just need some sunshine in this season of our lives. Really. But let's let's go make breakfast. Honestly, like this whole week I've been feeling like brain foggy. I had like no appetite besides like chocolate and sweets. Like, it's hard for me to eat. Like, I feel like my motivation to do stuff has gone down. Now, if your first thought is it your special time of the month? Yes, it is. But I never usually feel this bad. Like, it hit me really hard this time for some reason. Like, it's like my whole body is resetting. I was actually talking to our friend yesterday about it. And I was like, I think I'm iron deficient, but I am taking iron because I was anemic, especially when I was pregnant. And people say most women are anemic, which is low in iron. And I brought that up to her, and she's like, no, you need to look into copper deficiency. And I was like, what? She was talking about women having more copper deficiency than actually an iron deficiency. I don't know any of the facts of that, but it's interesting. I don't know. I want to check it out, because apparently iron doesn't actually that much. We're not supposed to have like the amount of iron they're saying that we need to have, something along those lines. Or like the iron pills, they don't actually absorb properly how they're supposed to. It's usually a copper problem. I'm sure it's not like 100% of the time. So I'm thinking, and I don't buy cheap vitamins and supplements to begin with. I buy really good quality. So I've been taking iron, but I don't know if it's supposed to be a big difference, like especially if you're anemic. But I'm gonna probably buy like a copper pitcher, or like a copper water bottle, or you can buy copper supplements. Or she was saying oysters, like raw oysters, the best way to increase your copper intake. So I'm gonna look into it. I don't know any facts about it yet, but it's just an interesting thing to think about, because most women do have problems with being anemic. And if it's a copper problem, it's a much easier fix than iron, because iron is really difficult. It's really hard on you. Like when you take iron, you have problems like constipation and stuff. Like it's iron is not a nice thing to take. And like I always hate taking it. But there's different forms you can take it into, but there's something to think about. Also, like another thing for me, like I have a hard time, like I drink tea almost every single day, if not multiple times a day. So I have a hard time separating the time I drink tea and the time I take vitamins, because you cannot have coffee or tea with any of your vitamins or supplements, because the tannins in the tea actually decrease the absorption of the vitamin. And it's already hard to absorb vitamins as it is, so never take coffee or tea with your vitamins if you didn't know that. Or even like any really hot beverage, really, that also can affect it. So like I have such a hard time, like, because I love having my tea in the morning and I love having my tea at night, and then like during the middle of the day I don't even want to take my supplements. Like I just forget about it because the day moves on. So that's like one thing that's really annoying for me. I'm cleaning up my bathroom a little bit, putting things away. But I'm definitely having like a little bit of an annoyed attitude today. But I did want to talk about one thing today. I wanted to talk about loneliness. And I've noticed how most moms, actually no, almost everybody is so lonely. And especially after you have kids. But even before kids, I've seen so many couples that are so lonely. But you know what? And I see that it's all because of our culture. And I even see it from like when I was in youth in church. Like when I was single before dating, like even when all the girls would hang out, like I mentioned a couple times, I was like, hey, why don't we take turns like having like coffee dates for like at each other's houses, like make each other dinner and like get-togethers like at each other's houses. And it was always, no, so much work. Or like, hey, let's take turns going to each other's houses after church. No, so much work, so much cooking. And it was always like, let's go to restaurants, let's go to coffee shops, let's spend money. But most of us, after you get married, it's like you can't do that. You can't just go out every single day. And I feel like a lot of girls my age don't have any hospitality, and they don't have that effort to bring people into their house and to serve and to open up their home, because it's so much work and it's such a mess. And you know what? It is a lot of work, and it is such a mess, and sometimes it is draining. But in reality, that's how are your kids gonna grow up? You know, I think it's so important to serve people, and I think it's so important to open your home. Like when we moved to Idaho, I think it would have been so easy for me and our family to become lonely and complain and say that, hey, we don't know anybody here. We're gonna be alone probably for a while until we start meeting people slowly, and hopefully somebody invites us somewhere. No. That's not the kind of person I am, and that's not the kind of person I wanted myself to be, especially because I have a little girl. I didn't want her to grow up lonely. Like, we moved to Idaho, and hey, I throw little parties here and there. I try to do get-togethers. Like, I try to put myself in situations, even like when people have cliques and groups already set. I try, and I know some people are more introverted and they can't, but like I try to be open to going into spaces that I'm not in yet, and I'm not comfortable in being yet. I always try to push myself out of my comfort zone. Like even for Arya's birthday that we just had, I invited a lot of mommies that I'm not close with, but because it's Arya's friends, even though if she met one time, and I knew a bunch of families can come together and enjoy, and I made a kids-centered party, you start to meet people and you start to enjoy, and you make friendships and you make relationships. I think people are too scared to be judged, like, oh, I don't want to invite this person over, I don't want to message them, they're gonna think I'm weird.
And it's like it's so childish actually. It's like such a middle school mindset to think that somebody is gonna judge you because you message them and you want to be friends or you want to hang out. Like if I see somebody on Instagram, like, oh, I know I would really click well with this person. Like our personalities would match, like perfect, like same raising kids style, same family lifestyle, like it'd be perfect. I don't think it's weird to message that person. If somebody messaged me like it says, oh, I want to hang out, like, do you have time this week? Like, let's be friends. Like, I'd be like, heck yeah, of course. Like, no problem. And I feel like people are really scared to do that. And I don't understand why. I don't let myself to go into that mindset. It seems like such a basic thing to explain it, to have a conversation about, but it's something girls don't follow through. And not even girls, like so many couples don't follow through inviting people over to their house. It's just so superficial and it doesn't go anywhere. And then you end up having lonely people. And the only people you could ever talk to or lie to are either your siblings, which is fine, or your parents, which is fine. But your parents are going to get old one of these days and you're not going to be hanging out with 75-year-old grandmas on every vacation, every holiday, everything, like your kids are going to want to be with hopefully families that have kids around their age and same mindset, same likeness. Like one thing I don't understand, even like today, a lot of us, we go to our families for holidays, like let's say like my mom, which would be Arya's grandma. But when I was growing up, it wasn't like that. We would go to friends' house and we would have friends and communities, like for Easter, Thanksgiving, for any holiday event or get-togethers. It wasn't let's go to grandma's house. It was let's go to our friend's house, where it's the same people, same mindset, same age frame, and we all were able to connect. It wasn't let's go to old grandma's house, which I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying it was different from when I was growing up than from it is now. Like everybody now goes to grandma's house, and which is still probably okay now, but what is it going to look like in 10 years when grandma's old, grandpa's old, and your kids are going to want friends and hang out? I don't know if that makes sense, but it's different, at least how I see it now, how it is now versus when I was growing up, because it was always friends. It was always like my parents' friends and their kids, and we were always close. We went on vacations together, did things together all the time. We always had a very tight community. But it's not like that anymore. Everybody's holding on to parents so dearly, which is, again, is not wrong. But what happens when you have kids and you need to spread out apart from your family and you have no relationships outside of your tight-knit family? Like, and I love friendships, like even that have different religions, different mindsets, different everything. That way I can learn and see different perspectives in life. If you're constantly with the same people and you're constantly seeing the same thing day in and day out, you're never going to learn. You're never going to have new ideas and see things differently in different perspectives. I love, 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 love being with people who are different. I mean, of course, not crazy, like obviously within boundaries, but that are different, that think differently, that see life differently than you and seeing how they are. I think in a way it's also like sad to see a lot of us, because we're having to, not because we're having to, but a lot of us, like after we go to work, we come home, we play video games, it's all me, 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 me. And then on the weekend, because we worked so hard during the week, we want no effort to build a community and friendships around us. And I really do see that. I think majority of the people I know, minus a few, are very lonely. Like couples are having the hardest time finding other couple friends, and it's all because there's no effort. It is not because it's different mindsets or different ideologies or different anything. It's because there is no effort. Period. I'm okay with being with people. Okay, and if we want to be biblical here, Jesus, okay, was having dinners with sinners. I mean, did they have to talk about like-minded things, no, but they were still able to hold friendships and have conversations, communication, in a community. And I think that that's something we can't do anymore. That we're not able to do that anymore. And that blows my mind. People need to reach out and invite people over. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. If you feel lonely, if you feel like you need help, you need to say something. Just say something. I think it's extremely sad how alone newborn mamas are. Like, I'll tell you right now, when I gave birth to Aria, very, very, very few people actually helped me with a newborn child. When, I expected more, and I know sometimes my expectations are too high, but like, I really thought friends would come in and genuinely help. And you know what? Like, having Aria as a newborn child was the hardest thing in my life I've ever lived through. Period. To this day is the hardest season of my entire life. Was giving birth to Aria and having that newborn season, which we can make a whole other video on what did that even look like, because it was absolutely horrible. But I realized, like, through your hard seasons, you realize who your true friends are. I mean, the closest person that helped, person that probably helped me the most was my sister. She would drive an hour, because we lived about an hour away. She would drive an hour about 3 times a week, if not 4 times a week, to come be with me, to come feed me, to come let me shower, and I will never forget that. Like, there's other people that helped me too, and I'll never forget it, because it was such a hard season in my life. Through your hard seasons, the friends that show up, that's the biggest deal. That is the biggest deal. And I'm surprised how many moms don't help each other. Like, even when we moved to Idaho, there was moms that were expecting, that were about to pop when we just moved to Idaho. I mean, strangers. I would come up to them like, please, if you need any help, like, please tell me. I will show up in a heartbeat, even if I don't know you. Like, and I know that, like, might, like, scare some people, but, like, I, like, genuinely, it's a big deal to me to help moms with newborns. And it's hard. It's really, really hard season. And you feel lonely, and especially if you have PPD, like I had it really bad. It makes a huge difference when there's people that love you, that are around you. But when I moved to Idaho, I made it a point to get Aria friends. That way, have communication, be able to get out of the house. Like, I started going on these mom walks. Right now I haven't been able to go as much, but going to mom walks, going to community things. Like, there's so many things you can do. You don't have to be lonely. And I feel like so many people are. Also, like, another thing about me, like, there have been situations where I've attempted to make a friend or two, like, just to expand my community. And if there is no effort back after a certain amount of time, I won't be friends with you. Like, it has to be a two-way thing, but you can be the person that actually starts the friendships. And I want girls to start messaging each other, and it's not weird. Girls you've never talked to in your life before, to message them on Instagram and, hey, let's hang out. Same with guys. There's so many guys that are lonely. They just come home after work, look at their video games, repeat. The weekend they spend alone. Like, it's good when guys have that guy time, as long as they are not. I think it's different. Like, I don't think girls should have girl time if it's with a bunch of single girls doing single girl activities. Same with guys. Guys shouldn't be doing single guy activities with single guys if you're married. Like, I think there is some wisdom in that, and we need to grow our communities. We need to grow our communities. Even people that live in different states, I truly think you can be best friends with. Like, when I lived back in Portland area, there's this girl, we were pregnant at the same time. We would FaceTime every single day, talking to each other about our symptoms and life and how everything is going. Like, we bonded so well over being pregnant. We became best friends. I think there are seasonal friends, like friends that you have for a season, but we have to grow our communities. Being lonely is not an option, and it's, first of all, it's not even biblical if you want to make this a spiritual topic. Like, being alone is not good. Yes, for a season, like when Jesus went into the desert, he was alone, like a very small season, but people were always meant to be in communities. We were always meant to help each other. We were always meant to serve and outserve each other. And I think that's so important. But of course, I think that you need to be able to serve your own family and to have a quality family before you begin to serve others, which is a whole other topic. I don't think like church leaders should be serving and doing things if they're not serving their own family and you're not serving your house. That's what I think. We're not going to go into that topic. I don't want to get into that topic. But make sure you're serving your own family and you have a healthy family dynamic. And I do think that community is so important. Guys, start reaching out. People, start reaching out. Like, most of you are lonely and you can see in each other's eyes, like, who's lonely? Who's not happy? Majority of people are not happy. I don't care if you go to church. I don't care if you serve. I don't care if you just got the thing that you most wanted in life. Like, I look into people's eyes and most people are not happy. Genuinely not happy. And have never experienced happiness within themselves. And it's really sad to me. I don't care how spiritual you are or what a good life you have, what a Gucci mom you are. Like, it breaks my heart. Like, for me, at least for me, I can clearly see who's happy and who's not happy. Like, you just look into people's eyes and their life dynamic, and it's really sad. It's not from like a judgmental standpoint. I think people do really need to find happiness. People need to find community, and people need to find friends and step out of their comfort zone. I think happiness will be a whole separate conversation because I can probably talk about that for hours. Because this year in my life, at 23 years old, 24, I found the most happiness in my life. Like, this is the most I've ever been myself and been true to myself and been happy within myself. Even if life around me is going to garbage, I mean bad. If life around me is bad, like within me, I have never been more happy and more satisfied within myself in my entire life. And that is something I have found myself, and I hope everybody is able to find within themselves, because it's a big deal. Because I think if you're not happy within yourself, you're not going to be able to portray happiness in marriage, friends, and beyond. And that's a whole different topic. I'm already going off topic, but I know it's a little bit of a rant, but guys, talk to people. Come on.